On a recent live, I absolutely shit all over some female cops, including Haley Mirabelli and Megan McCarthy, for their involvement in law enforcement, how they just should not be in law enforcement. And I rag on female cops all the time. One of the biggest reasons is I'm not a fan of these. No, it's not I'm not a fan. I cannot stand where we're at right now in law enforcement with these social media influencers and the detriment they're doing to law enforcement. They're hurting each other. And it's not just female cops. It's these idiot males out there doing these TikTok videos in uniform, making it's not just making a mockery of the profession. It's your mindset. And you're not a cop at that point. You're pretending and playing, and it's going to get you hurt or killed on the street. And even worse, what it's going to do is it's going to lessen your ability to properly police. And one of the citizens that you swore an oath to care to is going to get hurt or killed. The bottom line, social media, which I absolutely embraced huge in 2015 and 2016 when I was a police officer, is now one of the biggest levels of cancer in law enforcement. And I rag on female cops all the time. But at the same time, too, there's no more abused cop in the industry and the profession than female cops. This has to stop, and this is one of the biggest dangers for you women getting in the profession, is its sexuality. You're going to get abused, and it's going to be leveraged against you when your head is on the chopping block. A 29-year-old police officer in Ohio is suing the local sheriff's office, claiming she was arrested and her child was placed in foster care after she was accused of leaving her then 5-year-old unsupervised with a registered sex offender, despite there being no evidence to supporting her allegations. The officer claims that after seizing her cell phone, investigators with the sheriff's office accessed private, explicit photos of her, which they shared among throughout the office and potentially farther. Manitowoc police officer Miranda L. Brothers last week filed her complaint against the Portage County Sheriff's Office in the county court of a common plea seeking punitive damages in excess of $150,000. Among the causes of action included in the suit are allegations of malicious prosecution, violation of 4th, 5th, and 8th and 14th Amendment rights, and intentionally inflicting emotional distress and torturous interference. Brothers was initially arrested in January of 2024 and charged with one count of endangering the welfare of a child, but the case against her was dropped in July. According to the complaint, at least 2 detectives on December 7th, 2023 were assigned to observe Brothers and her child in connection with investigation to her parenting. So we need to start there for a second. It blows me. I'm going to tell you flat out, this woman pissed someone off in her department. It either goes one of two ways for you ladies, and as much as you think I can't fucking stand you, as much as you hear my words and you can't stand how I'm saying it and it makes your blood boil, you're either going to be perceived as a complete bitch cunt on your department and on the streets, and you're hated, and God knows there's a shit ton of evidence to prove that, or you're going to be the department whore. And every cop is going to want you, and they're going to claim you've been passed around. Some of you are going to wind up giving into that power and that addiction of sexual addiction to authority that comes with it, and you're going to wind up succumbing to it. And then afterwards, it's going to be used against you, and never the men. Never the men. So an investigation was brought up against you because you allegedly left your kid with a registered sex offender. We always know there's more to the story. But for the police, the police internally, to get that far over something like this is so petty and so easily could have been dealt with the conversation with command staff, that she did something. She denied sex with somebody. She denied somebody's advances. Somebody wanted her, didn't get. There was some personality conflict that her command staff had with her, and this is how they wanted her gone. It's how it is. Because and this is where I'll defend. This is where my gut is telling me, right? And if I'm wrong, so be it. It is what it is. But when I read this morning, it fucking made my blood boil. When the overtly sexual cops, the female ones, wind up doing whatever, like the female Tennessee officer. Eventually they do wind up get fired and all that stuff comes out, but the departments try so hard not to go after them because that would drag them into it because they're involved. And the lawsuit with that is insane, as was the female police officer who was involved with the 5 or 6 officers on her department. According to the complaint, at least 2 detectives on December 7th, 2023, were assigned to observe brothers and her child in connection with with an investigation into parenting. The detectives were positioned outside of a restaurant in Manitowoc, which is about 30 miles southeast of Cleveland. Both detectives later testified that they never had any unsupervised contact with a registered sex offender, that the child never had any unsupervised contact with the registered as per the complaint. So cops don't even have the evidence. They do not even have the evidence to bring a charge, and they do it anyways. They do it anyways. And I'll always say this for you, public. If they'll do this to one of their own, what will they do to you? What will they do to you? Prior to December 7th, the December 7th operation, a third detective allegedly investigated the allegations against brothers and testified under oath that they were unfounded and not accurate. You know how the allegations were brought up? Probably one of her exes was fucking pissed off. She's not putting out anymore. She's not giving attention, so they're going to jam her up. They're going to jam her up, and this is how the shit starts. Guarantee this was a personality conflict with somebody who was pissed at her for some reason. On personal level, they felt rejected, so they started this shit. Without evidence of a crime or her child being in danger, deputies on January 1st, 2024, conducted a traffic stop on Brothers where they removed her child from her care and seized her cell phone and her child's tablet, the suit claims. In all of my years of doing any type of child complaint that was not sexually related, this is child endangerment. It doesn't say that there's any criminal sexual abuse, like the child is being abused by somebody. There was no seizing of any fucking cell phones like that. There wasn't. We'd have to get a warrant for that. Maybe they had this on scene. Maybe they had that. I don't know. I haven't read that far yet. Criminal charges filed the following day. Criminal charges were filed the following day, so they didn't have a warrant on her. They had all the probable cause to make the stop, seize her phone. If they're going to take her into custody, then they're going to wind up taking her phone in for evidence because it's part of her property, so that could be seized. But I don't know if it says in charge of as part of the investigation. And charges were filed the next day. Okay. Criminal charges were filed the next day, alleging that Brothers allowed a sex offender to spend extended periods of time alone with her child. That's the criminal charge. So you have a sex offender allowed. Now, I don't agree with that shit at all, but you're allowing a sex offender to spend extended periods of time with your child. It doesn't say that sex offender engaged in sexual acts with a child. So I want to know where this detriment of criminality that required her being arrested was an issue. Now, we don't know who the sex offender is. I don't know if this is a family member. I don't know the age of this person. A lot of you understand how many of the people who are criminal sex offender are people who have suffered through the system where they were 17, dating somebody's 15-year-old daughter, and the second they turned 18 and didn't want to break up, parents got so pissed off, they went to the local police department and that kid was arrested. And 10 years later, they're still on the sex offender registry list. We know how broken that fucking system is. The criminal complaint directly contradicts the sworn testimony of the members of the Portage Sheriff's Office who personally observed a juvenile A on December 7th of 2023. The complaint states, Brothers claims that a forensic search of her phone and the child's tablet turned up no evidence of a crime, which detectives testify in a hearing during April. They took her phone, of which they would have to get a warrant for her passcode, compel her to give the passcode, because to my knowledge today, I don't know how, I believe even like Apple, I don't know if she had an iPhone or the other one, Android, Apple refuses to help law enforcement break into phones. It's part of their privacy policy. I've never heard of child endangerment where the law enforcement seizes, to this degree, without this knowledge. They're going to take this knowledge to a judge to get a warrant for her phone and that say, well, we didn't observe the sex offender with a child. And a judge signs off on that warrant. This woman is a target of something. This is how far cops will go to abuse their own. What are they going to do to you? The testimony on April 15th of 2024, motion hearing verified that no detective had witnessed juvenile A engaged in unsupervised contact with a registered sex offender. The complaint says, despite the testimony on April 15th in 2024, a motion hearing, the state continued to pursue criminal charges against plaintiff brothers. Brothers further claims that an unknown sheriff's detective sent around explicit photographs of herself she had on her phone, which were entirely unrelated to the case. Despite knowing that the digital images were not relevant to any criminal charge, Detective John Doe shared and disseminated these digital images with the Portage County Sheriff's Office and potentially further, the lawsuit says. The Portage County Sheriff's Office conduct of observing, sharing, and or dismantling, disseminating the private images of the plaintiff brothers was so extreme and outrageous that it went beyond all possible bounds of decency and intolerable in a civilized community. Fucking A, it did. Why isn't this cop's name on blast? And why is he or she not have criminal charges? You can read this all for yourself. I'm taking this specifically from lawandcrime.com. This is insane. This is how it goes. Ladies, listen, I don't give a rat fuck if you hate me. I don't care. I'm so hard on cops because it's the same concept of my 17-year-old niece. She's 17 this month on the 29th. And she's growing into a woman. And I'm not her father, but it fucking enrages me watching her become a woman because I know the predatory nature of men that are out there. And if my niece wears shorts that are above her knee, I'll get fucking pissed. So if my niece says that, when she turns 21, she wants to go to a bar, and I see my niece in like some skimpy outfit, and I don't go, hey, I don't mean to be an asshole, but really? You're going to go to a 2 a.m. bar, 4 a.m. bar, you're dressed like that, and you understand the attention you're going to get? If I don't bring that up and something happens, then that's on me. But what society has done the last several decades is we can't shame women for putting themselves in a position of being hurt, abused, or worse. We need to. Ladies, I don't know how else to tell you this. This is nothing more than me fucking trying to show you that as much as my rhetoric sounds so fucking hateful, that I care about what happens to you. And I've seen how, many of you use your sexuality to fucking leverage your position on the job, and you fucking ruin the lives of so many people. But then again, you have to blame the men who get involved with you. You really do. And that ruins it for the women out there who actually do the job properly and then get shit on. I mean, this woman's social media is not that much. I reached out to her on Facebook, sent her a message. I would love to defend her and get her side of the story and feature her and let her say whatever she needs to say. You don't see the bikini pictures and all that. And maybe they're there. I don't fucking know. But why would you put yourself in that position? This is a male-dominated industry of power and authority. And if you don't understand the relationship of sexual addiction between power and authority and men, and then you insert a woman in that, and the law enforcement attracts the type of woman that also is a petri dish for growing that type of sexual addiction, deviancy. It's there. Just anybody who fucking knows a female cop knows damn well what a majority of them are like. And all male cops, we're all fucking pigs. We're all. It is with the shit. I dated a stripper. Fucking when I was 26, I dated a 19-year-old fucking stripper. The what is it? The stereotype is true. It's true. Cops and strippers, cops and nurses. We do this because of the addiction that we have and it comes down to power and leveraging that power, and it's translated into a sexual overtone. And this woman was leveraged for that. I keep saying, you guys hear me hating on you, and it's just to wind up telling you I care about you, and I want you to fucking get a big old slap upside the head to have you think, what am I doing? This woman, to hear this, that she has an allegation by her department, somebody, and all it takes is for one person to go out with a beer of somebody's fucking ex and say, hey, you know what? You got anything for me? Yeah, you know, she's hanging out with her uncle, and her uncle was a registered sex offender in 1972. Yeah, he was dating somebody. That's all I need. The investigation starts. Could be as all you need. I can't tell you how easy it is to get a warrant from a judge. Judges half the time are just looking down. They're working on something on their desk while you're going, yeah, you know, the offender did this and blah, blah, and they just sign off on it. Then you go out and you swear in front of them the same damn thing you fucking said, and there you go, there's your warrant. You cops know how easy this shit is to manipulate, and you do this to your own. It's such a fucking loss, because as much as I want to clean this industry up and change cop culture, people need to see what they do to their own. And this woman's going to be vilified. She's going to be demonized. And you know the rumors in her department are going to be all over the place about the whore she is and blah, blah, blah. And this, I will guarantee you, we never see the males accountable. That Tennessee cop, she's a meme now. She's a fucking meme. Why are those other cops not just put on blast like crazy? The men who all took turns on her. Why? It blows me away. Well, this department needs to find out who the detective was who did this, and there needs to be criminal fucking charges against the person who disseminated her pictures. We can't stop it, right? We can't stop sex. We can't stop women from being cops. I can only voice my opinion. I don't have the ultimate say on shit, and thank God for that. But for the love of God, ladies, when you keep putting yourself out there in these positions, and it's not just your physicality. These are my opinions. It's not just your hormonal state where you can't properly make a good judgment based on how you emotionally process information. This is one of the biggest things. It's a fucking Peyton place. It's a sexual fucking deviancy of just Sodom and Gomorrah in law enforcement. And anybody who knows it knows the fucking truth of how it is. Everybody's fucking everybody, or they're trying to. And eventually it's going to burn your ass. I personally think this woman is a victim of this shit. And again, as much as I shit on female cops, I also want to defend, because it just doesn't, just because I have a belief that the influencer cop is ruining female cops. And for the most part, generally speaking, I don't think a woman should ever fucking step on the street as a cop. I'm also not going to allow them to get shit on like crazy because men can do it and get away with it, and nothing ever fucking happens to them because of who they are as police officers. This isn't fair. This isn't fair, and I hope you give this woman her support, and I hope that actually justice is served on this, and every other fucking cop who tried to burn her is just fucking torched to hell.